Chapter 22, page 257. Robert was greatly impressed with this story and what they told him about the wonderful powers of Lady Beresford. After consulting with his friends, he decided to go immediately to Silver Springs to see her. On Sunday morning about 10 o'clock he boarded a local airplane for Silver Springs and arrived in the afternoon. It was a fitting setting for the scene. The day was beautiful, the sunshine at its best. Robert had watched the plane as it flew swiftly across the country. He had viewed the many beautiful orange groves and thought of the wonderful work of the hand of nature in painting beauty grander than any hand of man could ever do. Here he thought of something that he would write of Marie in contrast to her beauty. After thoughts of Marie's beauty had flitted through Robert's brain and his dream and hope for Marie had revived, he was feeling hopeful and enthusiastic. Lady Beresford, upon receiving the letter of introduction from her friends, greeted Robert with unusual courtesy. He told his story. She listened attentively, and when he had finished telling her about the mysterious letter, she said that there was an interpreter at the hotel who understood most any foreign language and that she was sure he could interpret the letter. Robert was elated because Lady Beresford showed such a great interest and desire to help him. He related all the obstacles he had met with in trying to get the letter interpreted before, and had almost lost hope of ever getting it interpreted. She assured him that her friendship with the interpreter would at this time bring results. Robert was anxious to see Silver Springs, and Lady Beresford was anxious for him to go and see it immediately, and said that after their return she would see the interpreter and get the mysterious letter read. They went to the springs and slowly rowed out on the beautiful waters. Robert had heard the story, and when the boat slowly came to a stop over the bridal chamber and he saw the face of a beautiful woman in the rocks, his heart almost failed him. He thought of the sorrows he had gone through and wondered if such a fate might have been Marie's. The beautiful waters reflected the most radiant colors Robert had ever seen in his life. He secretly prayed the greatest prayer of his life, that he might meet Marie here and with all of her beauty, where they could enjoy the beauty of nature together. When he looked through the transparent waters into the bridal chamber, it brought him back to Sunday morning, June 5, 1927, when he had expected to marry Marie. Tears streamed down his cheeks, and Lady Beresford, realizing the situation and knowing that she could say little, remained in silence until Robert's emotions had passed. Then she told of her admiration for his love and devotion to Marie, and said that a scene like this, painted by the hand of nature, was calculated to melt the heart of the most cold-blooded man on earth. Robert asked the man who was rowing the boat to row back to the place where the face of the spirit bride showed in the water, and as he looked down at the face again, he thought of Marie, and this is what he said: "Most beautiful face in all the world, best beloved eyes that inspired the best in me, the days pass by on leaden wings, when only in memory your dear eyes shine for me." Somehow the beautiful waters and the scenery inspired a new hope in Robert. For love must ever inspire hope in man when his faith in a woman keeps the love light burning on the altar of his heart. Robert and Lady Beresford returned to the hotel. After dinner, Lady Beresford met Robert and told him that she had found the interpreter and he had agreed to read the mysterious letter that evening. Robert, having met with so many disappointments, felt that he must make sure this time he would get the letter read. He met the interpreter, went over the whole story with him, told him that no matter what the letter contained, good or bad, he must know the truth and nothing but the truth. Said he would pay any sum that the interpreter might name, and pay it in advance if he would agree to read the letter regardless of what it contained. His plea was so earnest that the interpreter saw that his heart was breaking and told him that no amount of money would influence him as much to read the letter as the desire to relieve an honest, loyal heart which was breaking for a great love. Such men as he was our country's need in time of peril, and such loyalty and devotion to a woman was found in but few men. That it seemed more divine than real, and that he would interpret the letter gladly and willingly. When Robert was fully assured at this time that there would be no disappointment, he was supremely happy. He grabbed the hand of Lady Beresford, thanked her, and fell upon his knees before the interpreter and thanked him in advance for his promise to interpret the letter. "Now let us delay no longer," said the interpreter. "Give me the letter and I will read it." Robert had always carried the letter in a wallet in his pocket, never letting it get out of his possession. Had it carefully folded up in some other papers. He pulled forth the wallet from his pocket, opened it up and looked for the letter. It was not there. He searched the wallet carefully, but there was no mistake about it. The letter was gone. The disappointment was another great blow to him. He talked the matter over with the interpreter and Lady Beresford and was at a loss to understand how the letter could have disappeared from his pocket. Was sure that he had it when he was in Palm Beach. He telegraphed the hotel in Palm Beach, and after making a search, they reported that they were unable to find the letter. Lady Beresford realized the keen disappointment that the loss of this mysterious letter had brought Robert, so she told him that she would use her spiritual powers every way possible to solve the mystery of the letter and try to help him find Marie, and that if he would leave her alone in silence that night, The following day she would report to him the information she received. Robert arose early the next morning and decided that he would go to Silver Springs and see this beautiful spot just as the sun was rising. It was a beautiful morning and he rode out upon the waters, listened to the songs of the birds, watched the beautiful fish running to and fro in the clear waters. He again thought of the story of the spirit bride whom the legend said appeared upon the waters on moonlight nights. His mind went back to the fishing trip at Spirit Lake, Arkansas. He thought of the story of Spirit Lake and how he was impressed as a child with that story. Now it seemed more vivid and real. His mind reverted back to the death of Henry Watson, and he thought, is it my fate to visit places and to hear stories of tragedy and disappointment of lovers, and in the end, will my fate be like theirs? Must I sink into the waters of forgetfulness without ever again seeing the best beloved face in all the world, Marie's? After all, is it line Henry Watson said? Hope is but an anchor to the soul, but facts are stubborn things and we must face them. For a moment, Robert felt that he had been clinging to hope all these years and he was almost ready to bid hope depart and leave him alone to facts, but even then he knew that if hope should depart and not hold aloft the light of Marie's love, he at that moment would follow the course of the lover of the spirit bride and go overboard, to be swallowed up in the beautiful waters, to release his spirit, that it might soar away to find Marie. The man who was rowing the boat noticed that Robert had fallen into a death-like silence. He asked him if he was ready to return. Robert awakened as if by a shot and said yes.